welcome students. We are uh, we are going to start that next concept from chapter number 4 in Organization of Commerce. That, as I told you, we will be doing cooperative societies, its features, its merits, its demerits, its types. Okay. So only two parts they are remaining for the chapter, that cooperative society and joint stock company. So we will be doing cooperative society today, and in the next lecture we will complete joint stock company. As we all know that India, it is a country where large number of people they resides in this country, and we are agricultural country. Almost 60% to 65% population they are still depend on agriculture sector. So this has led to the biggest cooperative movement in India, and it is world's biggest cooperative movement. And there are there are a lot of examples about this cooperative societies. Means the best known example is that Amul, means we all use the products of Amul. It is again one of the cooperative movement which was carried on by the small farmers to avoid exploitation by the middlemen, by the agents and all those. So the cooperative movement, it was started by the weaker section of the society for protection of its members and their rights. And after independence, that is after 1947, this cooperative movement, these cooperative societies, they become integral part of the 5-year plan. Because these societies, these cooperatives, they play important role, because it is an organization for a poor, illiterate and unskilled people. And this organization or this society, they protects rights of their members, they protect those members from exploitation. And the country has a network of cooperatives at local level, at state level, at national level. If you talk about the definition, if you talk about the meaning, then there is a definition given in the textbook that according to International Labour Organization, it says a cooperative organization is an association of persons, usually of limited means, who have voluntarily joined together to achieve a common economic end through the formation of democratically controlled organization, making equitable distributions to the capital required and accepting a fair share of risk and benefits of the undertaking. So what this definition says, it is voluntarily association, means there is a freedom for entry and exit. It is a voluntary association. Usually limited members are there, but legally speaking there is no limit on maximum number of members in a cooperative society. And those guys, they join together for a common economic goal, that is protection of themselves from exploitation and getting the advantages. And they have formed this organization democratically, because management of cooperative society, it is democratic in nature, and they make sure that there is equitable distribution of rewards, and also they accept the fair risk of the share, risk for the profit, and also they distribute benefit to each of the members. So in general, if you say that it is an organization which is voluntarily established by the members for a common economic goal, and they make sure that there is equitable distribution of capital, that there is a accepting fair share of risk, and also there is distribution of benefits to all members. Second one, according to the Indian Cooperative Society Act 1912, they are saying that cooperative society is a society which has its objectives for promotion of economic interest of its members in accordance with cooperative principles. So Indian Cooperative Society Act 1912, they said that cooperative society, it is a society who tries to promote or who tries to protect economic interests of its member, and for that thing they follows cooperative principles. So if you are talking about the cooperative society, it has certain features which you need to know. The first one, obviously, it is a voluntary association, and the membership, it is open to all. There is no restriction on entry, or there is no restriction on exit from the cooperative society. Also, they do not discriminate on the basis of caste, religion, color, any kind of gender, and etc. etc. As I said, the cooperative society, they worked on a democratic principle, because they work democratically, because there is a rule in a cooperative society, that is a one person, one vote. So this rule allows that cooperative society to take a decision by the majority, and they gives fair opportunity to the every member to take active participation in the management. If you are talking about the management, that management, it is in the hands of a managing committee, and that managing committee, it is elected by the shareholders of the cooperative society. And the important business decisions, they are also taken by the management committee members, and that management committee members, they looked after day-to-day transactions of the society. And every society, they want to enjoy certain benefits, and as we discussed earlier, that for a sole proprietorship, there is no compulsion for registration. Even though for partnership firm, the registration is made compulsory since 1932 after passing of that act. So by the same rule, for a cooperative society, the registration, it is made compulsory under Indian Cooperative Societies Act 1912, and they made it compulsory so that government should have record of all cooperative societies. And these cooperative societies, they have minimum 10 members. That 10 members, they are required, and there is no certain limit or maximum number of members in a cooperative society. As we discussed earlier, that sole trading concern and partnership firm, they do not have separate legal identity, but cooperative society, they have separate legal identity. That means cooperative society and the shareholders, they both are different in eyes of the law. They have a separate legal entity. It means the liability of cooperative society is not a liability of shareholders, and that shareholder will be limited, or that shareholder will be liable only to the amount which is unpaid, or only to the price which he unpaid for his share. So after registration, cooperative society is a separate legal entity, and now they can enter into the contract, they can purchase a property, they can open their bank account in their own name, and the shareholders and those other members, they are not responsible for any transactions of cooperative society. As we discussed, they have a limited liability, because the shareholders of cooperative society have limited liability, and their liability is limited up to unpaid share of the unpaid value of the shares purchased by them. And if they have made a full payment of the shares, they are not liable for any kind of debts or any kind of loans. As we know that the number of members which is required, at 10 minimum members, and there is no limitation on maximum numbers. And we know that they worked on a democracy, they work on a democratic principle. So each of the member have equal voting right, one person, one vote. It is the motto which is followed by the cooperative society. And again, if you're talking about the motive, or if you're talking about the motto, that society is a service motive, because the society provides various services to its members, various services to the society. The goods, they are available at the lower rate to the members of the society, and in case of cooperative banks, the loans or overdraft facility is also available to the shareholders at minimum rate or at the lowest rate. So there are total 9 features which we have came across. Now we will move forward to the merits of cooperative society. The first one, it is democratic principle, democratic management. Each member of cooperative society enjoys voting right, one person, one vote. It is the motto which is followed by the cooperative society. And the members, or that managing committee members, they are also elected by the shareholders by the voting. So it totally has a democracy and democratic atmosphere. Then open membership, second feature, second merit. The membership of cooperative society, it is open to all. There is no discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, gender, color, etc. And there is no discrimination on any kind of basis. Then less operating expenses. As we know, the cost of operating cost for cooperative society is very much low, because there is no middleman, there are no agents, there are no brokers involved. Again, they do not have any kind of advertisement expenses, and managing committee members provide honorary services. So the various concession, relief, subsidy, they are again given by the government. So the cost of the cooperative society, operating cost of cooperative society, it is very low in case of cooperative societies. Then another merit is that they have a limited liability, as we discussed earlier. That these cooperative societies, they have limited liability, they are a separate legal entity, and because of this thing, any shareholder will be responsible only to the unpaid value of the shares, and beyond that he is not responsible for anything. Then, as I said, that cooperative society plays an important role in development of the country, and the government of India or government, they usually aims at providing benefits to the cooperative society. They provide them subsidy, they provide them relief, they provide them benefit or concession in taxation. This helps to the society because of this concession, because of this subsidies, the profit of cooperative society, it is increasing, and they can distribute that profit to their members. Self-financing and charity, as per the latest amendment in Cooperative Society Act, any society, they can pay maximum 15% of dividend to its members, and the rest of the surplus, it is distributed among the members. Also, some of the profits is utilized for charity purpose, for social activity, for growth of the society, and all that stuff. So these are the features, these are the merits of cooperative society. Okay. Now we will discuss the demerits of cooperative society. What are the demerits of cooperative society? It has a limited capital, means we know that the shareholders of cooperative society, they are going to provide capital, but these members, it involves a poor people too, and they are unable to purchase more shares, and that restricts the capital, or what we can say, that restricts the company from getting more and more of capital, more and more of money. And because of the limited capital, again, the capacity of production, it is also minimum, because for expansion, for growth, the most important thing which is required for this is the money. Also, there are low rate of dividends, so that's why normal people, they are not interested in investing their money in cooperative society. They have insufficient management, means we know that there is a democratic principle. So the managing committee members, they are elected by shareholders in a meeting by voting system. But those members, they may have or they may lack in a certain managerial skills. Why I am saying so? Because of the limited capital, this cooperative society, they cannot hire professional managers, because these professional managers, their charges are very high, and so the cooperative society, they do not afford such highly professional managers, and it affects the managerial, it affects their management, and the efficiency which is required, it is not they cannot attain that much of efficiency. The lack of public confidence, as we know that cooperative society, they have huge political interference. Major of the cooperative societies, they are controlled, they are owned by the political leaders. So the common public, they do not have a trust, they do not invest in these cooperative societies. Limited scope for expansion, because of the limited capital of cooperative society, they cannot take a risky projects due to insufficient management, and therefore there is a less scope of expansion. Also, there is a lack of motivation, because that managing committee members, they are working on honorary basis, so they do not work hard because they lack motivation. As in case of partnership, those partners, they worked hard, because if they worked hard, they are going to achieve a profit, they are going to get that profit, and for more profit they worked hard. But this is not the case in case of cooperative society. Then lastly, we are going to discuss what are the types of cooperative society which exist in a market. The first one is a consumer cooperative society. This consumer cooperative society, they are formed by the consumer to obtain daily requirement products at a reasonable price, because this society protects lower and middle class people from exploitation. The profit of the society, it is distributed among the members in the ratio of purchase made by them throughout the year. Then second one, it is producers cooperative. The producers cooperative, this is the voluntary association of small producers and artisans who join hands to face competition and increase the production, because these producers, they operate on a low level, they operate on a lower basis, low scale, Then the artist people, they again operates on a lower level. So these people, they came together and they formed the producers cooperative. There are two types of cooperative society. The first one is industrial service cooperative. Second one, it is manufacturing cooperative. Industrial service cooperative, in this type, the society undertakes to supply raw material, tools, machinery to the members, and the producers work independently. They work independently. They do not depend on each other, and they sell their output to the cooperative society, and the output of the members, it is sold by the company or it is marketed by the company. It means in this case the society provides raw material, then the producers produce the product and they transfer that product to the society, and society market that products, and society sold those products in the market. Then the second type, which was manufacturing cooperative, in this type the producer member, they are treated as an employee of the company, employee of the society, and they are paid with the wages, and the society provides raw material inputs to the every member, and those members, they produces that product in a common place or in a common house, and society sells the output in a market, and profit is distributed among the members. So what is the difference in both of these things is that in first case society provides raw material and producers produce that products independently, then they supply that product to the society and society just market them. But in case of manufacturing, these producers, they act as an employee and society pay them wages, and finally the output which is produced by these people, society is sold that produce in open market and distribute the profit among the members. The third type, it is marketing cooperative. These are the voluntary association of independent producers who wants to sell their output at remunerative prices. Because this is an association of whom? Association of independent producers. What they want to do, they want to sell their output at remunerative rate, and the output of different members is pulled and sold through a centralized agency so that they can eliminate those middlemen, and the sale proceeds, they are distributed among the members in the ratio of their output. In this case, lot of independent producers, they came together and they sold their market, they sold their products through the centralized agency of society. And what are the advantages? That they avoid middlemen, so they don't need to pay extra, or they can got those benefits directly, and the sale proceeds which is earned by them, it is distributed among them directly. Then the fourth one is cooperative farming society. These are voluntary association of small farmers who joined together to obtain the economies of large scale. In India, the farmers are economically weak and their land holding are also small, because this is a major issue in India, that the farmers which are living in India, they do not have big land holdings, or we can say there are a lot of very few farmers they exist who have land holdings, but the major farmers, they do not have big land holdings. So these kind of individuals, they work in an individual capacity, but if they are working in an individual capacity, they cannot afford modern technology, they cannot afford costly seeds, fertilizers. So that's why they came together, they form a group, they form a society, and they work collectively so that they can enjoy the benefits of modern technology, costly fertilizers, costly seeds, etc., etc. Then the fifth one, it is housing cooperatives. These cooperatives, they are formed by the low and middle income group people in urban areas to have the houses of their own. The housing cooperatives are of different types, and some societies acquire land and give the plot to the members of the constructing members for constructing their own houses. However, the other societies, they themselves construct houses and they allot those houses to the members who makes the payment in installment, and they also arrange loans from financial institutions, from the banks, from the government agencies. So the housing society, basically, either they provide you the plot, you have to construct your house by yourself, or they will construct house and you just have to pay the price of this house. Then the last one, that is credit cooperative. These societies, they are formed by the poor people to provide financial help and to develop the habit of saving among the members, because they help to protect members from exploitation of moneylenders who charge exorbitant interest from the borrowers. And the credit cooperatives, they are found in both urban and rural areas. So in general, if you came to know that cooperative societies, they have certain advantages and they have certain disadvantages, but in and all, if you can say that this cooperative society, it is a organization which enjoys a lot of benefits. I know there are limitations which are attached, but those limitations, they can be overcome, or the impact of those limitations, it can be reduced. In the beginning, when I started this lecture, I told you that the Amul, it is one of the cooperative movement which was started in India. Because if you just if you want to know about the movement, that it is there in the textbook, but also you can say, because this movement, it was started 65 years before, when the poor farmers who worked hard and they are exploited by the local traders and the small and those middlemen. So what they did is that those poor farmers and those workers, they went to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. They asked for they discussed their issue and they asked for the grievances. And the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel advised them to form their own entrepreneurship, to work hard, to work for themselves. And those farmers, they took his advice very seriously and they started a cooperative society. The Amul Cooperative, it was created by Dr. Varghese Kurian, and who is known as the father of white revolution in India. And now the Amul placed India at the top of the milk producing countries, milk producing nations among the world. This movement, this Amul, it was found in 1946 in Anand, Gujarat state. In that Gujarat state it was started, and majorly it was started because there was exploitation which was done by the middlemen, which were done by the brokers. And Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Tribhuvandas Patel, Dr. Varghese Kurian, these guys, they helped farmers to fight against exploitation, and this has led to the emergence of Amul brand, and this helps the India a lot. So look, there is a power in the youth, there is a power in the people, there is a power in the unity. What we have to do is that if there is exploitation, if there is any bad evil practices which are happening in a society, we need to come together, we need to raise our voices against them. Because if you don't do that, if you fail to do that, that obviously going to have adverse impact on you or your upcoming generations. So right now, if you're talking about a portion,